welcome back to the Hello Goddess podcast. I am your host, Mandy Dia, a recently graduated naturopath and Reiki practitioner. And I'm so excited. Today we have a guest that I've been talking to for a long time. I wanted to have her on the show. Her name is Julie Wilson. She is a psychic medium energy healer from Illinois. Hi, Julie.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm super excited to be on. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So, my first question, and this is typically like the questions that I like to ask all my guests because it's so interesting to see what inspired you to become who you are now. So, psychic medium, is that something that just developed, or did you always have this? And I would love to learn about your journey.
Okay, so I didn't know I always had it, but from a kid, I was the one with the imaginary friends and always kind of like playing around with my imagination. I loved to, just invent stories, like go on little adventures. So I didn't realize I was connecting in as a child, but I feel like I've always kind of been more connected into the higher realms just because let's be real, it's a little dense down here. So sometimes it's more fun to play in like higher dimensions. So I feel like I was just always gravitated towards happier, higher dimensional energies. And as I went along on my journey, I had trouble having a baby. So I couldn't get pregnant. Fertility issues came up. And that's when I really started asking questions in like, what's going on with me? What's happening? And I went to a Reiki shamanic healing session. And as soon as she brought me back to childhood, and I actually was using my clairvoyance gifts and I saw like images and things and I felt all of that energy moving, I was like, I have to know everything. This is like my jam. I want to know everything. I want to learn all this, all the modalities. And so that kind of started my journey of trying to understand energy healing, understand my psychic gifts. My mediumship came online, and that was a funny story because I just started hearing somebody asking for help, and I was like, I'm losing my mind. I'm crazy. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
no.
talk, and she's like, nope, that's just your mediumship. Just ask him what he needs. And so it was like, there were definitely some funny, interesting little things that transpired as I opened my gifts up. But it was a really beautiful journey, and I ended up having my daughter. I wrote a womb healing workbook to help other moms or women who might have trouble with fertility issues, and just traumas, things that come up in life. And so I started learning all of the things, got into DNA activations and quantum healing, and kind of expanded my skill set to more than just like Akashic readings and mediumship readings and stuff like that. And so now I kind of have a little tool bag of like, things I kind of bring to sessions and to work with people to help them, and things that, are similar to the issues I was experiencing or their own journeys and what they're coming up against. I also work a lot with parents and children because our kids are so tapped in if we don't shut those gifts down. I think a lot of times society and, just that, thing that happens when your kids get to a certain age and you're like, nope, that's your imagination, that's not really real. We tend to kind of like, I don't know, shut down a little bit their imagination and their quest to understand other energies. And so I work a lot with parents on connecting with their children's higher selves just to support them in the best ways possible. And so yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And when the did the fertility issues come for you? Was that a long time ago or?
Yeah, so I got married in 2009, and then we started trying to have a baby like right away.
Okay.
I didn't actually have my daughter till 2014, so or 2013. Sorry, her birthday's on the 14th, so I always. But so 2013, so it was a little, it was a little bit of a journey to get there. I had to have surgery for endometriosis
Oh
along the way.
wow.
Yeah, there were definitely some like womb issues going on as well, but
Hmm.
I later found out a lot of that was just I needed to heal my body from the inside out. And when I started really working on, finding where I had stuck energy or emotions, traumas, stuff like that, I was like able to, kind of take all of that endometriosis pain away because had the surgery and the pain came back right away. So it wasn't a fix. It was just like it let me get pregnant, let me have my daughter. But after the pregnancy, I was experiencing the same types of things. And I've talked to a lot of people who've said the same thing. You get the surgery and then it's like all of the symptoms kind of come back. But, a lot of it has to do with hormones, has to do with energy
Hmm.
healing and things like that. So detox type protocols, things that might be in your body that are, contributing to issues. So I feel like
Hmm.
I kind of approached it from a very like physical perspective of detox, and then energy healing, and all of it together really helped me, get down. And I'm pain free now. So it helped me find,
Mm.
wrong, what was going on.
Yeah, I'm really happy for you that you're pain free. I know that endometriosis can be really painful, and though all these the fertility thing is so it's so key right now because a lot of women are struggling with that. And like this is up my alley because I with naturopathy and the Reiki, and like I think it's so fascinating, all of these things. I'm really happy to have the show on the show because I have so many questions for you right now. The first thing I want to know is because I do realize that for a lot of people listening, the whole spiritual world is kind of new, and some people may only be kind of like dipping their toes in that world right now. So, but I know everybody's heard of the term psychic medium. Energy work is a little bit more popular nowadays. People are opening their eyes to alternative therapies and stuff like that. But what would you say, like for somebody that they kind of heard of the term intuition, but what would you say is something like a common spiritual gift that somebody would have, but they wouldn't be aware of? And how can they identify that and expand on that?
So we have four main Claire gifts, which are your so it's just your senses. So a lot of people talk about that gut feeling. So you have that gut feeling
Mhm.
something bad happen, or you have this, this feeling like I don't want to go to the store right now. You know what I mean? Or somebody's gonna call you and you're like, I knew that was they were gonna call.
Mhm.
A lot of you start to look at how you say things. So like I knew that was going to happen is usually connected to your claircognizance, which is top of your head, crown chakra. If you have a lot of vivid dreams and or dream of the future, a lot of times that's your clairvoyance opening up, which is your third eye. Your clairaudience is your throat chakra, and that is when you can hear. So, like, you can hear spirit, you can hear, messages. Sometimes you may just, hear like your higher self talking, and you're not sure what it is, but you feel just connected in with your senses. You can also be super sensitive to like sounds, like loud sounds, loud crowds, and then that gut feeling or your heart chakra or your senses where you kind of feel energy. So if you maybe heard a singing bowl and you had felt that vibration, even just like at a store that you were walking by, or you heard music and it brought tears to your eyes, that's kind of your clair feeling or your clairsentient. So I always say pay attention to how you say things, how you are reacting to everything around you, and start with the strongest feeling that is there. And that's a really good way to kind of strengthen your intuition, because we can all do this. We all have the ability to strengthen and tap in and connect with energy, or our intuition and our psychic senses. So it's just about like anything, it's practicing, it's strengthening that muscle. Muscle testing is also a really good way to work on that, because it's a
Mhm.
way to have something you're physically doing. A lot of times why people have trouble tapping in is because it's not a physical thing you're doing, so you don't have like a start A and a start end point, and so it can sometimes mess people up because they're like, I don't think this is really what I'm seeing, this is just my imagination taking me on a little ride. And it's like, so you got to differentiate. And so sometimes having the
Yeah.
physical thing, automatic writing, where you just sit down and kind of meditate or get some meditative music on and just like let your pen go. Don't think. It can be scribbles, it can be gibberish, it can be words, whatever. That's also a kind of way to tap into your intuition and learn to start connecting in. So
Mhm.
I think that's the most fun thing to do. So, I think if
Mm.
you're curious about that, play around with it, have fun with it, because you can connect with spirit animals, and like there's a lot of really beautiful fun things you can do in the beginning, just to strengthen those gifts. I also always say, like, do this stuff with your kids. Like I do clear energy with my daughter every night. We connect in with spirit animals, with her guides, with fairies.
Mm,
Sometimes make it super fun just so she's kind of got that channel opening up. So
mm. That's beautiful that you share that with your children as well. That's really nice. Yeah. You have a daughter? Do you have other
I,
kids?
I just have one daughter. She's 10.
One daughter. Okay. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, because you had her, yeah, 10 years ago. That's
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, I absolutely would love what you said because uh some things may resonate more with one person and something resonates more with another. Like some people like writing, so automatic writing might be a way for them to connect with that higher aspect of themselves. Um, for me, the turning point where I realized like this is my higher self and this is my ego, the difference because at the very beginning. I was so immersed in my ego that I thought that that's all I had, the voice in my mind, this is all I am and this is all I have. But I read this book called The Untethered Soul. Have you read that book?
Not.
Yeah, and it really helped me understand like this is not who I am. This is, the conditioning and the socialization and this is all my personality and I'm identifying with that. But really if you meditate and you connect with the silence behind that or the observation, the awareness behind that, then it gets easier to connect with something higher afterwards, I find. Um, so with the higher self, it helps sometimes to use meditation, but like you said, like automatic writing, sometimes it's yoga, sometimes it's going to see a Reiki practitioner and getting into that state and everything. So, so powerful. And I was wondering too, you spoke about energy healing a little bit. I would love to know how does energy healing really affect the different spheres? Like I know that it affects the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, but what is your perspective on that and how does it really work?
So energy healing is for what I do is and back to the higher self
Mm,
comment you made, really, really good comment to make so that people are aware of that. I always bring people to their higher self in sessions so that they can get familiar if they've never met with their higher self on exactly what that feels like. So they know it's that pure channel when they're tapping back in, because it's
mm,
super. There are also, there's your ego, and then there's also shadow frequencies that can sometimes interfere if you're not really used to tapping in and understanding what you're connecting in with. So I'm glad you brought that up.
mm,
As healing to me, similar to Reiki, when I first started doing Reiki, I could feel the energy in my hands, and then people would feel the warmth sensation, stuff like that on their bodies. And
yeah.
so quantum healing is basically the same type of thing. You're working with universal energies, crystalline energies, energy that will help shift stuck emotions, help physical ailments, help kind of move and navigate what is in the way, or just even help you feel a little bit better. Sometimes it even like will bring up emotion that needs to be released and whatnot. So you're familiar, you do Reiki, so you're very
Mm,
familiar with how that helps people, and you see the shifts and the transformations. So I feel like it's like kind of like just an edge up on the healing journey. You have the
mm-hmm,
physical important, and you can do a lot of detox, a lot of stretching, yoga. I feel like any kind of stretching exercises, somatic movement where you're doing slow movement to kind of move stuck emotions, that's all very good physical things to do. But the energy healing piece of it brings in stuff that may not be super common in your physical body, or it may be attached to other lifetimes. Some people believe in that, some people don't. That's a little more woo woo, but other
yeah. Yeah.
other aspects of you, other parts of
Mm-hmm,
yourself that you may have not uncovered or connected in with. There's also a lot of things that can happen with your subconscious. So I do a lot of work with that, with energy healing, going into subconscious, those programs that you talked about, the conditioning, those imprints we get from childhood, teenage years, all of those times that kind of stick in there, and it's really not us, but it's
mm-hmm,
blocking what who we were really meant to be. So I feel like it just really helps bring in another layer or another way of healing that isn't always accessible just by the physical, doing something in the physical.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you with that. And back to what you were saying about the imprints, that's so true. Like, and I find for myself, and I've seen that with my clients and other people talk about that as well, um, where something happens in their life, the trauma, and then it imprints in them, and then they start to identify so much with this aspect of themselves, that it becomes hard to let that aspect of themselves go because it feels like, this is who I am, like this is what I've been through. But with the energy work and everything, over time, you kind of see that release and you see that, okay, I'm so much more than that. I'm so much more than what happened to me. Or maybe people start to believe that certain aspects of their personality is they're always going to be this way. Like, I'm always an irritable person, so I'm going to be like this my whole life. But that doesn't have to be the case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like the stories, like there's so many times that it's this one thing they remember, you know what I mean? Or like three things in childhood, and that has like stopped them from going forward so many times. And we all need to have grace for ourselves, I feel like, and really, care about ourselves and not judge ourselves or be super hard on ourselves. But once you find those things, you can be like, okay, this isn't the story I want to tell anymore. This is, I'm a different person. I'm not who I was there. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to unlodge that stuff, because it's so ingrained into you. But once you can see it, it's like I always say that, especially with shadow work and processing emotion and energy and stuff like this,
Mhm.
um, there is always this huge, bigger joy that happens after you let go of something that no longer serves you and that you didn't need. And so it's like, you may have a few tears, you may have to go through some, mental work as you're processing and, kind of healing and growing. But man, the other side of it, you're just like, okay, this is amazing. I'm free. I feel great. So it's always so worth it, to find those things and to unlodge them.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny you say that because for me, like over time, I know when you start to do the healing work and the deep work and the shadow work, and you release, yes, there's such a joy and a lightness to it. But then you get excited, like next time I'm triggered, I'm like, oh, there's something else to heal. Like that's kind of, you get excited when you find triggers after a while there, but because you know that on the other side of it, when you heal it, when you let it go, that you feel so much, more expansive in this energy of lightness in your life. And I think that energy is, the higher self, and the light is who we really are. Um, when we let go of the stories. And I think word stories is very perfectly describes what people hold on to. For example, like I used to hold on to the story that I was a shy person, you know, and maybe I was shy at some point in my life, but now I don't feel like I'm shy anymore, and I don't identify with that word anymore, you know what I mean? So it's just these things that uh you know, if you're listening and you're nodding your head like, yeah, yeah, I have all these words that I identify with. You don't have to hold on to these stories if you don't want to. You can be whoever you want to be in your life, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's so freeing to let go of that stuff. I feel like too a lot of times, your higher self is always that whisper. So your ego or something that is not you or is a story, I feel like is always the loud thing saying you can't do this, or you don't look good doing this, or you don't sound the greatest, or it's all of those little negative mind chatter things. And it's like, so if you
100%.
that and listen to the little whisper is going to tell you you're doing great, keep going. And so like if you can
Yeah.
train yourself to be like, okay, shutting off all the negative and we're going to go, with my higher self, then you can also kind of shift a lot of this stuff as well.
100%. And that's a skill that you can develop, trying to differentiate between the higher self and the ego. And over time, like with help with a practitioner like you, it can be really helpful to work with somebody else that can see the blind spots and see where, you want to work through things and have that support. So 100%. And I know that you work a lot with women. And you like women that want to work with their children. So the whole parenting piece and everything like you're doing with your daughter, the same thing. So I would love to learn more about how you work with parents and help them with the parenting piece.
Okay, so I feel like our kids are here to push us so hard to be better versions of ourselves. They are just like the brightest little lights, but they are also triggers because they're showing us where we need, something's in there that still needs to be looked at. So a lot of times, like you said with triggers, I really look at them as gifts because I'm like, something's there. We need to clear it out. Let's look at it. And our kiddos are really good at finding those little spots. So I work a lot with parents on just connecting with their children's higher selves and making sure that, because a lot of times our own childhood things that maybe we wanted, so I didn't get this, so I want this, so I'm going to make sure my kid has this kind of life because that's what I didn't have. It blinds us from like what our kids really want. So when I
Mm,
started my daughter's higher self, there's a lot of times her ideas weren't the same as mine. She's like, I just want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be in all the sports, I just want to do one thing. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, and at times you feel like you're failing or like you're not doing enough or you're not good enough, or, all of these stories and questions and things come up, especially I feel like for moms. And so I work with them on really getting clear on the connection with their children, helping their children with energy, understanding how to clear energy daily and making fun little practices, meditation and things like that, that are kid, age appropriate, so that they're kind of really balanced energetically and emotionally, because emotional intelligence I don't feel like is touched on enough in schools. Like there's all of these parts, nervous system work, the things that kids are
mm,
navigating and going through as their bodies change, as they go through puberty, all of those things. So, really working with parents on, okay, you know, that your children need nervous system work, or you need to help them with this, or maybe they just want you time, being more present, maybe clear out some of the subliminal messages and frequencies in electronics or games or
mhm,
movies. That's a big one that comes up a lot, because I'm not anti-electronics, but there are precautions and things we should be taking with our kiddos just because they're like sponges.
mhm,
So I feel like just really helping parents understand all of those things, and just also the traumas, the triggers, the things that might be coming up for them, to help them heal more on their journey to be more available for their kids in a bigger capacity. So that's, I really love working with the kids and the parents, because it's
mm.
just amazing to see the kids get super excited when they can meditate and see things. And it's really a beautiful thing to see the parents, really see that they're doing a good job, that they're doing the best they can, and, not to be so hard on themselves with certain things.
That's such beautiful work. I applaud you for doing that work because it's really, really important. And I think like you said, children are sponges and they're so young and impressionable. And if we can teach them these skills like at that age, imagine who they can become. There's so much potential out there. Um, and I know if I could go back in time and, speak to my younger self, I would probably be like, learn to meditate, learn to regulate your nervous system. Like, this is something I'm learning now and so important for so many reasons. Um, but yeah, I really do enjoy that you do the nervous system work. I think that's so important because a lot of people, especially younger kids, are struggling with anxiety and depression and stress and everything. And the phone isn't helping because they have access to everything that's going on in the world and it's just overwhelming. Um, so what is like, let's say if you have a kid that's struggling with anxiety, what would you recommend to that kid?
So there's some simple nervous system resets where you can just turn your head, or there's certain like points on your neck. A lot of times I'll recommend tapping because it's super easy. They can just do it. They don't have to think about it. That's really positive. Has had really positive results. Another thing I like to do is tell kids that when they wake up in the morning, before they go to school or go out in the world, they're going to take a little zipper and they're going to zip their energy up, and it only lets the good stuff in and all the bad stuff can't get in. So it's almost like it just gets popped off or beamed off. And then they'll like look at it like little, little creatures or critters or like, little orbs or something, they'll say, I like, yeah, all the little guys were getting thrown off and sent over into the, other side of the world or whatnot. So it's really cute to do stuff like that. I feel like just to help them learn how to clear, protect, their energy and in a way that's easy for them to understand. And then I also make like meditation really fun. Like there's a little energy elevator you go up, and there's little like spirit guides and little animals that
Mm,
come ride and they can come back with you. And then we usually just go on a little inner child adventure. So I feel like, that just kind of connects them in with a happier place if they're battling with depression or anxiety or something of that
mm,
nature. So those are probably like my, a lot of the go-tos I have for kiddos.
I love that. Yeah, that's really powerful. And I think it helps with the kids because they're very creative naturally, so it's easy for them to visualize these things. And it's so, effective. Because visualization, the body doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what's actually happening in the real world. So it really does make a huge difference on your nervous system. So interesting. We're already running out of time. That went so quick.
It did.
I have so many more questions for you, but that was so interesting. Thank you so much for explaining everything you do, and I think that it's so powerful what you're doing right now with parents and their kids, and I love your approach, and you have so much knowledge. Um, so
Thank
I
you
do
so much.
have if oh, you're welcome. I would love to know if you have any advice, just some last advice for parents that might be struggling right now. Like, what would you say if you could say anything at all?
If I could say anything at all, I would just say your kids want you exactly how you are.
Mm,
And I mean, an extra hug, an extra 5 minutes of being present, like being present with your kids is what they want, So it doesn't have to look like anybody else's process plan, whatnot,
mm,
just give them a hug, sit with them and get super excited about what they're doing, take some time with them. And that's the best advice I can give because
mhm,
most of the time, like our kids pick us like before they're even here. So
mhm,
they us or they would have picked us. So it's like, just give them that time and energy that they need and they will thrive.
mm. Yeah, beautiful answer. The presence thing is so important and to be present in your life, like with your kids, but also with yourself and other people as much as you can possibly can. And work like this, people that are doing energy work, people that are into yoga, people, you know, uh the they start to understand how much it's important to let the phone down and be there with the people you love and be completely here now.
Yeah.
Um,
One other
yeah.
thing I do is take care of yourself. So our kids are watching us. So if we're doing the self-care,
Yes.
taking good care of ourselves, they're going to gravitate towards that. If we're eating the
Hmm.
good nutrition and we're conscious of, what we're doing, they're going to mirror all of that. So also make sure you're taking time for yourself and you're doing the things that you need and you're not just trying to, moms especially a lot of times are givers, so we're giving to everyone else and then we have nothing left in our cup. So just make sure you're taking some time to fill up as well.
100%. Yeah, that's so true. Lead by example and take care of yourself. Fill up your cup. So if knowing everything that you know now, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, what would you say?
I would say don't care what anyone else thinks and be your authentic self, no matter what, no matter who you lose, no matter who you gain. Don't try to fit in anybody else's box. And
Yeah.
man, if I'd done that in my younger days, my life would have been a whole lot easier.
Yes, 100%. I like second that 100%. Um, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's you and you there. We come into this world with ourselves, we leave with ourselves. And it's like at the end of the day, no matter what you do, people are gonna say something, so might as well do you be you. 100%. Uh, and what is your definition of a goddess?
My definition of a goddess is someone who is fully embodied in her energy, a strong, leader, a strong role model,
Mm.
someone who just is all, you know, I don't even know the right word for it. But just someone who really honors her energy and her body, mind, and soul, and doesn't take a lot of crap, but is also a super soft, feminine, beautiful role model and frequency for other women and children and everyone to kind of like see and be like, oh my gosh, I want to feel like that. So
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. I could even picture that energy in my mind right now when you were describing it, and beautiful explanation and definition of a goddess.
yeah.
So, if anyone is listening and they would love to connect with you, where can they find you?
My link tree has all my social media, the link to buy my book if they're interested in the book, and
Yes.
how to schedule a discovery call or a session too. So everything's there.
Okay, so I will have that in the description box wherever you're listening to this, YouTube, Spotify. It's going to be under the video. So, thank you so much, Julie. This is a super interesting conversation, and I love when we went with this. Like, there's a lot of different topics we touched, and I know that people listening have learned something for sure from you. So, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So, everybody listening, thank you for tuning in this week. I will see you guys next week. I'm sending you guys all of the love and the light and the Reiki energy.